For this maxi skirt, you will need a 5mm hook, scissors, and a needle. For the granny squares, I'm using these 3 yarns. For the mesh part, I'm using this yarn, and I would recommend using a thin yarn like this because this will be the majority of your skirt and you don't want your skirt to be super heavy. To start off our granny square, do a magic ring, chain 4, do 3 double crochets into the ring. Chain 2, 3 double crochets into the ring. Chain 2, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and this time 2 double crochets. Slip stitch into the chain 4 space, chain 1, cut the yarn, and we finished round 1. If you would like to use the same yarn for the whole granny square, after you do that slip stitch, chain 4. For round 2, find the opposite end of the fastened off yarn. So right here, make a slip knot with the next color, opposite end, attach the yarn to the corner, chain 4, do 3 double crochets in this corner, and as we're doing it, we are also going to weave in this end. Now the next corner, we don't have to weave in this end anymore. 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, next corner, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and I'm weaving in this end at the same time. Next corner, we're not weaving in that end anymore. In the last corner, only 2 double crochets. Slip stitch into that chain 4 space, chain 1, and cut off your yarn. Slip knot, opposite corner. I'm attaching the yarn to the corner, chain 4, 3 double crochets while I'm weaving in that end. Next space, 3 double crochets, we reach a corner, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, we reach a space, 3 double crochets, corner, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and I'm leaving in that blue end. We reach the last corner, so 2 double crochets and slip stitch into that chain 4 space, chain 1, cut your yarn. Repeat this for 3 more rounds. In total you will have 6 rounds. Always remember, whenever you're starting a round, 4 chains, 3 double crochets, in every space 3 double crochets, in every corner 3 double crochets, 2 chains, 3 double crochets, and then when you're about to reach the end, the last corner, 2 double crochets, and then slip stitch into the chain 4 space. Back look nicer because right now it has a bunch of loose ends. We are going to start in the middle. This is the yarn for the magic ring. Put your hook through any of the loops in the middle. I'm going to put my hook through this one. Pull the middle yarn through and then do a chain and pull. And this is going to make the middle secure. Once we've done that, we can cut off the yarn. Cut off these excess tails. It's pretty secure because we weaved them in through 3 double crochets as we were doing them. To attach your granny squares, make sure they are facing the right way. The wrong side is where you can see the excess tails that we cut off earlier. Flip this granny square over on this one, do a slip knot, put your hook through the corners of the granny squares, this one and this one. Single crochet these together. We are going to attach the granny squares by the top of the double crochets that we did. I'm putting my hook through the first double crochet of this granny square, and then I'm finding the first double crochet of this granny square, which is right here. Our hook is through both of these, and we are going to single crochet these together. Now we are going to find the second double crochets of each, right here and right here. Single crochet, and now find the third, right here and right here, and just continue along and make sure both of the sides line up. Final single crochet is going back into the corners. Chain 1, cut the yarn, and you finish attaching the granny squares. I finished attaching every granny square together, and now we are going to weave in the ends. Figure out where you want the front of the skirt to be. I want this to be in the front because I like this granny square. Turn your skirt to the back and do a slip knot on your hook. Do 3 single crochets in the top right corner of one of your granny squares. Put single crochets in every space at the top. Continue with single crochets at the tops of the double crochets we did here. I've reached the top left corner of the granny square. Do 3 single crochets in this corner. I've reached the top right corner of the next granny square, and we are going to do the exact same thing, 3 single crochets within this corner and then single crochets all across. When you're doing the 3 single crochets in the corner, it might be covering the next stitch you're supposed to do a single crochet in, so always make sure to move this over and it will be visible. I went all around, and now I'm doing my last 3 single crochets in the last corner. Slip stitch into the first single crochet we made. Chain 3. Place 1 double crochet into that first single crochet we did and that we also just slip stitched into. Chain 1 and do 2 more double crochets into that space. Two double crochets into the 4th stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chain 1 and 2 more double crochets. 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. Continue this all around until you get here. I finished my last shell of the row, and we can see there are 3 stitches before we reach the first shell again. Chain 1, slip stitch into the chain space of the first shell we did. Chain 3, 1 double crochet into this space, chain 1, and 2 more double crochets into that space. The next shell, 2 double crochets into the next chain space, chain 1, 2 more double crochets, 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 more. Continue this pattern all around, and I'll meet you back here when I'm about to finish row 2. I'm at the end of row 2. I already did my last shell, chain 1, and then slip stitch into the chain space. Chain 3, 1 double crochet, chain 1, and 2 more in the same space. Next shell, 2 double crochets in that space, chain 1, and 2 more. Always remember, when you end the row, do 1 chain and then slip stitch, and then when you start the row, do 3 chains, 1 double crochet, 1 chain, and then 2 double crochets. Continue doing as many rows as you want. I'll meet you back here when I have my final length. I finished with all my rows. For reference, I did 35 rows. I'm 5'8½", and this reaches a little bit above my ankles. To fasten this off, like we've always been doing, do a slip stitch in that chain space, chain 1, and cut off your yarn. Now we will be working on the waistband, and there are 3 variations to this depending on how fitted or loose the skirt is when you try it on right now. This is the back side of the skirt where we will be starting our waistband in. Do a slip knot and place your hook in the middle of the back granny square. When I put my skirt on, it was pretty loose, so I will be doing all decreases for the waistband, but don't worry, I'll show you all the variations. So I have my hook in. I'm going to pull yarn through. Now I have 2 loops, and I'm going to go into the next stitch, put my hook in, and pull the yarn through. Now I have 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3. That was 1 decrease. I'm going to do that again. So I'm putting my hook through the stitch, pulling yarn through. The next stitch, I'm putting my hook through, and I'm pulling yarn through, yarn over, and I'm pulling through all 3. Continue this all around if you also want to do all decreases. This is the variation if your skirt is a little loose right now and you just want the waistband to be a little tighter. Pull the yarn through, put your hook through the next stitch, pull yarn through, yarn over, pull through all 3. Now we're not going to do a decrease, but we're just going to do a single crochet. And then the next stitch will be a decrease. And then the next stitch is a single crochet. And you are just going to alternate between decreases and single crochets all the way around. Now the final variation is just doing single crochets for the waistband. If you're putting the skirt on and it's pretty fitted, it's pretty tight, and you don't want the waistband to be any tighter. Also remember that the corners of the granny squares count as 1 stitch. I'm doing my last decrease, and we are going to slip stitch in the very first stitch we made at the beginning. chain 1, cut your yarn, and fasten off. Make a chain that wraps around your waist or where you want your skirt to sit. After you have that, add 80 more chains. Go to the front of your skirt and find the middle stitches of the waistband. So this is the very middle of my skirt, and these two are the middle stitches. I'm going to go one over and pull my chain through, and this is where the belt will start. I have that pulled through, and now I'm going to go in and out of every stitch, weaving in the chain. I'm weaving through the last loop. Now we are finished with the belt. Our last step is to cut off the excess tails and weave in our ends. Now you're finished with your skirt.